Hello and welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast on this Monday, November 6th, 2023, live at youtube.com/Paul Gallant, twitch.tv/Gallant Says, also available wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. You got a question, Gallant Says at gmail.com. We are a little over 24 hours removed from the Texans' 39-37 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game where CJ Stroud threw for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns. And one of the fun things that comes after anyone in sports goes thermonuclear in the way Stroud and the Texans offense did is that it's going to be talked about a lot on Monday. And it's the kind of talk that you want to see. If you're a fan of any franchise, you just want your team to get respect. That's it. We're all sensitive to a team not getting respect, even if we know that they don't deserve any. And over the last couple of years, the Texans didn't just deserve zero respect, they deserved zero mention. They were boring, they were an afterthought. But now with CJ Stroud aboard, 8 games into the year, and a historic performance by a rookie, you are seeing all sorts of hype. And it's been fun. You aren't the person that's supposed to focus and get back to work and start thinking about Cincinnati. No, you don't have to do that shit. You are just along for the ride. And you hope it's a good one, not a bumpy one that ends up driving off of a cliff. The first thing that I noticed was that the NFL's Twitter account has changed their cover photo from, I believe, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift to CJ Stroud high-fiving a bunch of Houston Texans fans after Sunday's victory. And you know what the description of the NFL Twitter account reads? New era in Houston. Sunglass emoji. Ooh. It's pretty awesome. Great handle. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Hugh Janus. CJ had an incredible game, and we actually came back and got the dub. The hype is well-deserved for CJ Stroud, 100%. And it's not just the NFL showing a lot of respect to the number 2 overall pick. He's going to win Rookie of the Week. He's going to win Offensive Player of the Week. You're also seeing takes like this from maybe one of the most respected minds in sports media. A guy who not only talks about football, played football, but he also helped navigate our nation through a race war that could have started due to The Bachelor. I'm, of course, talking about Emmanuel Acho, who in no way, shape, or form has seen all of the other talking heads in a crowded space and started saying the most ridiculous fucking shit possible. That's not him. Here's what he tweeted yesterday before his television show, Speak for Your Pizza. I think it's called Speak for Your Pizza. I've never watched it. I don't even want to listen to it. CJ Stroud is a mother-sucking beast. Poise, leadership, guts. He has it all. At Houston Texans. I don't know if he thought the Texans would retweet it or something, but he says Stroud's a mother-sucking beast. And this is a guy who gets tens of thousands of viewers on television sometimes. Respect. A couple comments about my appearance. Elmer Perez says, looking hot AF, Paul. Winky face, smiley face. Sup? Run, it's Godzilla, meanwhile, says, you look like a Bond villain. Sadly, my cat is not in here because I could pick her up and start petting her like she's Mr. Bigglesworth. Not just Emmanuel Ocho that's giving CJ Stroud his much-deserved flowers. Did you see what another really respected NFL analyst said? A guy who's not known best for being part of a winning football team, not known best for the amount of yards that he's thrown for. A guy known best for walking out the back of the end zone once during a team's season where they didn't win a game. I'm, of course, talking about Dan Orlovsky, who said this. Stroud's tape is better than the numbers. He is absolutely in the MVP conversation after this weekend. Did he just say MVP conversation? Hit it, Clay!
Time in Houston, and we're ready to play.
Someone commented and said, hey, MVP, really? Orlovsky defended his take on a team that had the number 2 pick. They're 4-4. He's 7th in yards, 3rd in yards per attempt, 3rd in yards per game, 7th in touchdowns, 1st in interceptions, 4th in passer rating. Yesterday really helped him from a passing touchdown perspective because I think that was one of the more frustrating things to this point, especially if you had him in fantasy football. The touchdowns were not coming. And obviously the offense has struggled the last 3 weeks. And against a Buccaneers team that statistically has allowed a lot of passing yards, he went absolutely nuclear. Comment, youtube.com/Paul Gallant. Alpha Turtle says, please go in more on Fairbairn being injured. Help us. You mentioned how the Texans usually lose those games. Well, we would have lost if we didn't play like we had to throw. I don't think those were related. I talked about that on the live stream yesterday and on my radio show today. I don't think that the Texans thought to themselves, fuck, we got to score all sorts of points. Every team is trying to score at all times. I think they realized that in particular against the Tampa Bay defense that's got Vita Vea in the middle, Levante David, Devin White, they're very stout up the middle. I think they realized, especially with no Dameon Pierce, that we should probably not continue to run the football. And I know people are going to get pissed off about the Texans not running the football. I get it. I was in Seattle. There was a movement to let Russell Wilson cook, and that was before Russell Wilson himself seemed cooked, although statistically he's actually been pretty good this season. I haven't watched a whole lot of Broncos football this year, but at least from the sound of things, he's at least helping people out in fantasy football. I don't know if he's been good. I don't know if he's been bad. I've seen a lot of people criticizing his play. But to bring it back, I don't think that was related. I don't think the Texans thought to themselves, fuck, we don't have a kicker. Now we just got to chuck it down the field. No. Every team's always trying to score touchdowns. No one wants field goals ever. And think about this. I mean, they did kick a field goal. They didn't go for an extra point when they took the lead. Remember, they kneeled the ball down with 5 seconds to go, and they also went for it on 4th and whatever it was with that touchdown pass that CJ Stroud threw to Dalton Schultz. But this is a team that I felt like you could have made the argument kicking that field goal was a fucking crazy move. That's completely inconsistent with what you're linking together. So I understand why people are asking about it. I just don't buy that the two are linked. More comments. YouTube.com. Hugh Janus says, I don't think anyone has watched a lot of Broncos football this year. It's Chewy hanging out. I can never say that. It's Chewy's hanging out at twitch.tv/Gallant says. Waka Flocka Bucks also here as well on the Twitch side of things. Got more people on the YouTube. I might have to somehow find a way to get our YouTube to comment with Twitch and vice versa, because our Twitchers are usually more active, but there aren't many of them. Who else is weighing in on CJ Stroud, adding into the hype from a national media perspective? Guess what? This guy is big in the internet circles of football. This guy, I mean, who can forget him? This guy, a lot of people were aware of him before this year. This guy, he's asking the tough questions, giving you the impossible hypothetical. And here it is. CJ Stroud remaining contract, 4 years, $36 million. Then the 5th-year option. Trevor Lawrence remaining contract, 2 years, $21.7 million. Then the 5th-year option. If you could pick one, which would you have? Oh my God, it's such a hard choice. I don't know why we have to ask all these like engagement questions online. Pretty fucking obvious. You're going to take the guy whose contract isn't coming up soon. And I'd also say this about Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's bad. I think he's a good quarterback. I do not think that he is going to be what he was believed to be destined to be when he was taken first overall. Everyone thought, can't miss prospect, best quarterback ever, best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. And he's been good, but he's not Mahomes. He's not Joe Burrow. There have been interesting questions, though, to speak of those two quarterbacks, probably the best two in the game. I am seeing serious conversations being had about whether or not CJ Stroud is now a top 10 quarterback or a top 15 quarterback. He's definitely in the top 15. Top 10 is very subjective, and you do have to remember this is one performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You do have to keep it in your pants a little bit. Yeah, I had a battle red pants tent this morning. No deep steel blue balls here. But it's one game. We'll talk about his next game in just a couple of minutes. I think this is what you should do if you really just want to be an insufferable person, which is sometimes fun. Sports fandom allows you to be an insufferable zealot in a very harmless way, right? So what you should do is say, well, I live in the now. And I suppose we're now more than 24 hours removed from CJ Stroud's 470-yard, 5-touchdown performance. But this is what I'd do. Oh, I live in the now. And based off of what I just saw, CJ Stroud is the best quarterback in the NFL because he was the best quarterback in the NFL Week 9. And just keep on saying, well, he was the best quarterback in the NFL Week 9. If anyone brings up seasons past by Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or Josh Allen, say, well, I'm living in the now. And what did you see on Sunday? It'll drive people crazy. And that's the most fun part about talking about sports, right? Driving people crazy. That's at least where I've migrated to. Paul, you're just a troll hack. Yes. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Twitch.tv/Gallant says to comment. Jeremy Vera says, good, not elite. I'm guessing you're talking about Trevor Lawrence there. More comments here. Wackos Wonka says Bryce Young sucks. Yeah, that was rough. That was rough yesterday, and that has been a frustrating element of the Texans is that they are making every single quarterback look amazing. They made Desmond Ridder look good. He's been benched. They made Bryce Young look good. He threw 2 pick sixes against the Colts yesterday. I think he had 3 total interceptions. They made Baker Mayfield look like Fran Tarkenton. Definitely a concern, especially given that they're going on the road to play the Cincinnati Bengals next week. And on top of that, the Bengals defensive coordinator, Lou, is it Anarumo? Lou Anarumo is really good. And you saw him frustrating Josh Allen if you watched any of Sunday Night Football. I'm not going to say Bryce Young sucks, but it has been a rough start. I do think it's interesting that some have been saying, well, Bryce Young, I think Kurt Warner threw this out there. Bryce Young's offensive line is significantly worse than the Texans. I mean, there's a lot of parts in places they shouldn't be right now. Like Titus Howard shouldn't be playing left guard. He's not very good at it, especially from a run blocking perspective. He's doing it because they have to. And Michael Dieter's playing center. But you do have Laramie Tunsil still. You do have Shaq Mason. There is some stability there. You have 2 good offensive linemen, at least in principle. I haven't really, paid attention to what Shaq Mason's done this season. I'm still annoyed by the illegal man downfield penalty that brought back that 20-plus yard gain against the Panthers the week before this past game. More comments here. This is from It's Choi, twitch.tv/Gallant says, I was still surprised on how with less than 50 seconds to get the W for Tampa Bay fans, why didn't you make any plays down the stretch? For Houston, CJ is now getting a lot of looks in a good way. Yeah, this is what this entire show is all about. All of a sudden, there's some attention. We'll get to that in just a moment. More comments. Toro McJohnson, fuck that Ranger fanboy Baker bitch tits. We are going to have to talk about some Rangers comments. We'll probably do it on tomorrow's show. And I think 6 o'clock is a pretty good time to do this show on a daily basis. Alpha Turtle says, thanks, Paul, for being so interactive. The most interactive MF in Houston sports radio. Thank you. I do make that claim. I don't know if I am 100% the most interactive, but if you say it enough, people will believe you. Toro McJohnson, Paul is a gay Patrick Bateman. What's wrong with that? Although he's a murderer. Or is he? I don't know if they ever tell you in American Psycho if he actually killed all those people or if he's just imagining it. John Garcia, you think the Texans have a shot for a primetime flex? I mean, if there was ever one to happen, it's Sunday against the Bengals. I think it's because the Bengals just played in Sunday Night Football. I'm shocked that none of the big networks, CBS or Fox, are looking at least moving it to 325. And I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know the NFL schedule flex rules, but next Sunday night is Jets Raiders. Like, who wants to fucking watch that? What do we have here? Flexible scheduling is in effect up to twice between weeks 5 and 10, and at the NFL's discretion between 11 and 17. Monday Night Football, weeks 12 through 17. Thursday Night Football, weeks 13 and 17. During the flex scheduling windows, the games initially scheduled for Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, and Thursday Night Football are tentatively scheduled and subject to change. Only Sunday afternoon games are eligible to be moved to Sunday night, Monday night, or Thursday night, in which case the initially scheduled Sunday, Monday, or Thursday night game would be moved to Sunday afternoon. They also may be moved between 1 and 4 or 4:25. So the problem, I think, right now that we all have to admit is that while CJ Stroud hype is at an all-time high, Texans Bengals is not going to rate nationally, even though we think it should, and we think it's a better game than the one that they have in that spot already. And if you take a look at this week's schedule, Sean Mapes and I talked about it on today's radio show. Check out the show podcast. That show is also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Here are some of the other games that they could put into prime time, I guess, if they were to change things at the last minute. But I don't know if they can do it right now. Oh, boy. Thursday Night Football's Panthers, Bears. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, my God. Al Michaels is going to jump out of the booth at some point. Monday night's Broncos, Bills. Oh, my God. This is weird. I don't get it. Other games that they could move into primetime spots. Packers, Steelers is at least 2 big fan bases. 49ers, Jaguars. Jaguars have won 5 in a row. Browns, Ravens. They don't like each other. Cleveland's got a big fan base. Yeah. Detroit, LA. Oh, there are options. I find it strange, but I'm guessing they can only do it twice for Sunday Night Football, and maybe they've done it already twice. Doesn't seem like they have. So, yeah, there you go. Waka Flocka Buck says the NFL schedule makers didn't follow the script. That is literally true because it was scripted otherwise. Bleed Blue asks, thoughts if you were traveling to a game and it got flexed and destroyed your travel and work? Yeah, I'd be pissed. The NFL doesn't care about people that go to the games, though. They only care about the television product. I am just wondering how they think people are going to watch Jets Raiders. In a year where there's been a lot of bad football, for the 3 primetime games to be Panthers Bears, Jets Raiders, and Broncos Bills. The Bills aren't even playing well right now. That's pretty shitty. Doesn't help that the Chiefs, Dolphins, and Eagles all have the week off, but that's pretty lame. Brian Vincent says, best sports radio in the city. IDJGAF. Huzzah. Thank you. More comments here. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant or twitch.tv/Gallant says, Toro McJohnson with the great point about CJ Stroud hype. Once Tony Romo starts to nonstop glaze CJ, it will confirm that CJ has made it. Is he going to make the Romo-gasm noises? Ooh, oh, 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 oh. Oh, yeah, he makes weird noises sometimes while watching games. I do miss the Romo-gasms, though. Not going to lie. Someone wants me to compare CJ Stroud's number his rookie year to Deshaun Watson. Let me look it up. If I'm not mistaken, it took a while for Watson to get going in his rookie season. I remember the first game where he came in relief against the Jaguars and got sacked 4 times. That one wasn't a very good game. Against the Bengals, he had the long touchdown run. Like, he ran for a 49-yard touchdown, but he threw for under 200 yards his first 2 games. Against the Patriots, that was where he got into a bit of a shootout with Tom Brady. And the problem was the Texans turned the football over, but he showed some balls in that game. He was 22 of 33 for 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. The next week against the Titans, the Texans won 57-14, and that game was very exciting. He threw for 5 touchdown passes against the Kansas City Chiefs, the October 8th game. Against the Browns, 3 touchdowns and an interception. And then there was that game in Seattle where he threw for 402 yards and 4 touchdowns. So Stroud, compared to Watson, Stroud has less touchdown passes, but he also has significantly less interceptions. He has just won 8 games through, which is where Watson's rookie season ended. 8 games through, he had thrown 8. So 19-8 versus, because Stroud hasn't thrown that many touchdown passes this season, 14-1. Still pretty good. The 5 touchdowns certainly helps out. B. Hannon comments, Stroud going to have better numbers than Herbert his rookie year. The problem's been the last couple of weeks. Now, this could happen more, but I do want everyone to remember the Buccaneers' passing defense statistically is not very good. And I'm going to take a look really quickly. I feel like they were towards the bottom of the league in passing yards allowed. Yeah, they're second to last in the NFL in passing yards allowed a game with 279.4. And as far as passer rating against, they are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9th worst. So it's not a very good pass defense that they went up against. Okay, so CJ Stroud's obviously getting hyped. QB hype can create team hype. And Sunday's game in Cincinnati, at least locally, is the most hype-worthy Texans game since the start of the 2020 season. It does suck, as I said before, that it's not being flexed over Jets Raiders. And you're hearing all the right things from Texans players, specifically CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans said today that we're on to Cincinnati at his press conference. CJ Stroud as well said, all right, we get to enjoy this for a little bit, but then we're on to the next game. I'm really curious as to what happens next. I'll admit, I love reading bleh, I don't love speaking. I love reading things said about me. I think it's a very natural thing for anyone who is in a position like myself to want to know what people are saying about him, whether good or bad. It's unhealthy. I hate that I have it. But you want people to like your posts. You want people to react to your posts. And I'll admit today, with a series of pictures that I posted dressed as Batman for Halloween, I have been looking far too much at my own Instagram, Instagram.com/Gallant says, to see how many people have liked it and to see if any people have commented on it. It is such loser fucking behavior. I'm embarrassed by it, but it's natural. If you're a forward-facing person, you want to know if people give a shit. Because when you are a clown like me that talks about sports for a living, you just want to know that you're relevant in some way, shape, or form. When you are playing on a team that has been an afterthought for a really long time, but you have confidence in yourself, you want people to show you love, especially when you put together a performance like the Texans offense did on Sunday. So I'm wondering how everyone in the building handles this. It is easier said than done than to ignore the outside noise and especially the outside praise. It really is. And look, the Texans earlier this year have dealt with this to a much lesser extent. People were looking at the Houston Texans earlier in the year after their win over the Jaguars and Steelers back-to-back and saying, hey, look at these guys. And then they lost 2 or 3 last-second losses to the Falcons and Panthers with a dud of an offensive performance against the Saints in the middle. So they went through it for 3 weeks. But this is another level, especially when it comes to CJ Stroud. Stroud, I think, can handle it. Stroud's been at a big boy program before at Ohio State where there's constantly conversation about that program, maybe not in a national perspective. I think Stroud's going to be fine. I think DeMeco Ryans will be fine as well. He was with the San Francisco 49ers. I am wondering about the young players. I am wondering about the assistant coaches. It's much easier said than done to shut out outside noise when you got one of these things today. When you have a phone, it's just right there. And I'll admit it, like I can't stop looking at my YouTube numbers. Oh, people subscribe? How many people watch my video? It's a fucking disease. I need to stop. I need someone to take it out of my hand. I even have these screen timers on my phone that are supposed to stop me from looking at stuff as much as I do. So these players are dealing with this in the NFL, some of them for the first time ever. Actual expectations as well that come because CJ Stroud is the quarterback. And these expectations aren't just coming from pundits like Dan Orlovsky and Emmanuel Acho. It's also coming from fans. Many of you here with me right now, youtube.com/Paul Gallant or twitch.tv/Gallant says. And also I'd say casual fans too. A game like that on Sunday is going to make you want to watch the next game the following Sunday, especially if the team is playing a good team. And here's what also gets interesting. People on the outside looking in, everyone and their mother is probably going to think about you guys as frauds. That's the way it goes. Doesn't make it right. But whenever there's a new person on the block, generally people don't buy in. You want to be impressed. They have to earn your respect. So there's going to be, I imagine, some pushback over the course of the next week too, after the come down from that explosive effort. And we'll see how they handle it. Some people are very good at just looking straight ahead and ignoring the outside noise. Others, like child actors, Britney Spears, Colorado football, others implode when all of a sudden this starts surrounding them. And it is around them now because of CJ Stroud, how well he's played. Let's read some more comments. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Paul, stop being that annoying 130 IQ guy, please. Who's that? Who's the 130 IQ guy? Is 130 good too? I don't even know. Should I just be a fucking idiot? I don't know. What do you want from me? I could be that. I can be whoever Houston needs me to be. B. Hannon says, LZ said you had the best costume at 97.5. Yeah, it wasn't even close. My Batman costume fucked. Slow to roll, youtube.com/Paul Gallant. Strange, the extra point interception did not count as an interception. Nah, it never counts as an interception because it's a 2-point play. I guess if you were going to count it as an interception, it would be like a third interception because you're playing for 2 points as opposed to 6 points there. Twitch.tv/Gallant says, fun Texans fact. On their email list, they sent a ticket sale offer after the win. It was good pricing. Well, that's good. They were pulling some bullshit before the start of the regular season. Did you see that, what they were pushing? Fear of sellout. They were saying hashtag FOSO. Okay, guys. Like, it's been a rough last couple of years. They're not selling out game one. I know that they sold out a bunch of games for a while, but going forward, Cardinals, Jaguars, Broncos, yeah, I could see them selling out. I do wonder, there will definitely be more Texans fans against the Cardinals. There will definitely be more Texans fans against the Jaguars. The question I have is whether Broncos fans will travel. Broncos fans are pretty loyal, pretty loud, but I wonder if they'll travel for this one. The Browns, December 24th, it's Christmas Eve. I don't know how many people are going to be traveling here for Christmas. And the Titans, those are the home games the rest of the way. The road games at the Jets, at the Titans, at the Colts. The Browns game, I guess theoretically on Christmas Eve could be flexed because of how well Cleveland has played. The Jaguars game on the 26th, that also could be flexed based off of how well the Texans have been playing and the Jaguars have been playing. Division rival as well. But they're going to have to win against Cincinnati, I think, to get any consideration for that. You have to beat a marquee NFL franchise. And right now, despite their best efforts over their entire history because of Joe Burrow, the Bengals are there. And that is a pretty well-run organization. I think they're very tough. And beating the Buffalo Bills, again, that's huge. Now, the update today, Jamar Chase, Bengals star wide receiver, he injured his back. So there's a chance he maybe doesn't go on Sunday. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Tora McJohnson says the next game is on CBS. Most likely, Tony Romo and Nance will commentate the game. I just hope it's not another Deshaun Texans versus the Ravens embarrassment. Yeah, I remember that. I was driving back from Washington State, a Washington State football game. They played, I think, Stanford, and I had it on my Sirius XM satellite radio as I was driving across the desert. And yeah, it sounded bad. I didn't watch the game. I'll be perfectly honest. Yeah, let's see what other games could theoretically be the lead on CBS. Steelers-Packers, there's a chance that one gets it because that one has the two national fan bases. But that's really the only other option. There's only 5 games on CBS. The others are Titans, Bucks. They're not doing that. Lions, Chargers, maybe that one. Doubtful. And Falcons, Cardinals. That one sure as shit isn't going to get flexed. Or the Nance Romo treatment. B. Hannon says the over-under tonight's 39. That is down a point from mybookie.ag, promo code BET975. It was 40 earlier. I say it goes under. The Jets defense is good, and Zach Wilson sucks. So there you go. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all joining me at twitch.tv/Gallant says or youtube.com/Paul Gallant. If you haven't already, kindly subscribe and like on YouTube. Or if you're a podcast person, you can listen to this wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. If you already do, please, 5-star rating, leave a review, write a roast. If you ever want to get in contact with the show too, the email is gallantsays@gmail.com, and you can follow me on a variety of social media platforms. Instagram, Gallant Says, or Sports Gallant, or Politics Gallant, or Gallant Laughs. You can also get after me on Twitter at Gallant Says. Until tomorrow night, we'll do it 6 o'clock. I think we're going to talk some Astros tomorrow and some Astro fan whining that We're fucking better than. So long. Farewell. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your Monday. Peace.